right now. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much to be with us here. And today is actually the 5th of November, 2021. And we are right here at 4:40 p.m. in Singapore, 1 degree north the latitude of the world. I have someone very special with me, and that's Richard Lowe of One Global, the director of One Global Property Services in Singapore that has offices in many, many parts of the world. I'm so delighted that we had done 2 episodes of wealth management with Richard. And Richard, I am going to share you to the metaverse of the Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. We are already live on YouTube, and now we are live in the metaverse. You know how powerful this technology is, and that I'm so connected with you and also with the community, my community, and the community of podcast world in Singapore and the rest of the world, particularly in Indo-Pacific. And now, Richard, you have been a great co-host and a great trainer for wealth management, talking about investments in Kent, Ashford, and even you talked about Birmingham in the first episode, and you talked about yourself in the first episode, you being a UK resident in Singapore for the last 20 years, and you've backpacked around the world. And I'm so excited to welcome you in this part of the world, especially in Singapore. And, as the world goes nationalistic, Richard, Singapore, I think, has a role to play even much more to tell the world that we can co-live together harmoniously, regardless of color, language, wherever you are, and regardless of which income group you are, Richard. I'm so glad that we are doing this live to tell the world, Richard, that, we've got one Vicky here from Singapore, born and bred here, and I've lived in China, communist China. I've lived in France, traveled to over 25 countries in the world. And also, Richard, yourself backpacked around the world and living in Singapore, and your children are third culture children in Singapore. I'm so excited that we are broadcasting this to Singapore, into Pacific, and to the rest of the world. Richard, would you like to say hi, Richard?
Hi, yeah, well, again, thanks. My name is Richard Lowe, and I've even got the Chinese surname to blend into Singapore as well. But yeah, I've been living here for 26 years, thoroughly enjoyed living in a multicultural society, which, I believe makes life a lot more interesting, conversation, and, it's been a great place to raise a young family.
Richard, whatever you do right now, you must be so passionate in your career. You must have got some love in it because you believe in it. You believe in the business, and you also believe in the goodness it gives to people, right? Wealth management. We spoke about wealth management and the ROIs a little bit and numbers a little bit earlier. In episode 1 and episode 2. I'm so excited that we are opening opportunities and opening the eyes to a lot of people, myself particularly. I never knew that there is a service, One Global in Singapore, and also you do have a whole suite of services providing on a one-stop hub in Singapore for people like myself as a professional, and also young families. And also, people just have a very global outlook in life. The services that you provide, I'm really excited that it intrigued me, and I was discussing this with my husband. Oh my goodness, it's like, why haven't we found One Global, right? Because you do have your brokers, and you're going to have an event this weekend, and you will be talking a little bit about your event, and is giving us a sneak peek. But even before we dive into our content proper, Richard, I'm so glad to welcome you to this podcast universe, the metaverse of Facebook, and the metaverse that will be going into the world. And very soon we're going to have holograms. Like, I'm going to talk to Richard here, and we're going to have this podcast about wealth management. Richard, how has your business changed you? Talk about that.
Well, I think real estate is an asset class that has helped to make people very wealthy over the years. During my time working in finance and real estate, it's been an education for myself as well, to learn how to grow your wealth, use real estate as part of an overall balanced investment portfolio. But it's always been something I've loved to do, even from a young age, going out looking for properties, whether that be for something when I'm going to rent somewhere. When I originally arrived here in Singapore, to actually buying a property that I'm going to be living in and the excitement that creates, as well as hunting for great deals and investment property in whether it be in Singapore or in other countries overseas. It's something that excites me and helps to motivate me to get out of bed and live life to the full.
Sure, and we talked about that briefly in our second episode about this value of wealth preservation, the value of growing your wealth, and in French it's called a patrimoine. Wealth in Asia, right? I mean, it's such a very conservative, preserved, hand-down value that you need to hand down something for your children and grandchildren, right? And nothing beats a house, nothing beats property in the eyes of an Asian investor. And you remember those, I'm not sure about you, but me being a Chinese, I remember those times or those stories that you watch, those classical black and white stories, like you always have this grandmother, right, putting their dollar, their coins below the pillow, and then saving it up in a piggy bank, and hopefully that money can grow for their families. And we're talking about a value that is really time-tested, history-tested. And in Asia, particularly, the first thing you need to do as a young couple is investment in a house, a real estate. Of course, in Singapore, we're seeing 90% home ownership. It's no brainer. The first thing when a man proposes to a girl, they will say, okay, let's buy a house together. That means that you're going to invest in your first property. And of course, with investment in the first property, you're talking about capital gains. And then if you invest in a second property, you're talking about capital gain on 2 properties plus rental income. And that's how that multiplier effect grows, Richard, am I right?
Yes, absolutely. And, here in Singapore, HDB effectively provides newly married couples an opportunity to buy into a property at a subsidized amount. After 5 years of what we call minimum occupation period, you can sell it, and almost certainly you make a handsome profit because of the price point subsidy that you bought in at the beginning. And if you're in a position to upgrade, whether that's to a larger HDB, that's the public housing for those people who are not familiar with the Singapore property market, or upgrade to a private condominium. And, real estate over the medium to long term has invariably increased in price. It's a tangible asset and something that people understand. It's not overly complicated.
Yes.
You can borrow from the bank. So, this helps to leverage your investment and magnify your returns.
Exactly.
So I think this is why, most investors, will have a fairly significant part of their investment portfolio in real estate.
Yeah, and now we're talking about One Global Property Services providing services to people like myself, and also a certain segment of demographics and psychographics of people. And you're going to have this event to tell us about what you are offering in your 2-day seminar or workshop over the weekend. Richard, would you like to tell us that? So the floor is yours. Yep.
Yeah, thanks. Well, again, just to summarize One Global's value proposition before sharing a little bit more about the event this weekend, what we aspire to do is help busy working professionals add international real estate to their investment portfolio and just make that journey as smooth and as hassle-free as possible by providing this one-stop shop service. So starting from sourcing good investment property to helping through the acquisition with introduction to lawyers, mortgage brokers for finance, and when it comes to renting the property out, introducing to our property management companies that will do everything from finding the tenant, managing the property, collecting the rent, and even helping to resell it. So really guiding you through the whole process to make that journey as smooth and as easy as possible. Now, at One Global, we have clients from all over the world. We have our corporate global office here in Singapore, and we do lots of events as an opportunity to engage with clients. And this weekend is actually the first live event that we're going to be doing for probably about 20 months due to the COVID issues. At the Four Seasons Hotel, right in the center of Singapore, a lovely hotel. We're going to be effectively doing an event that covers what we call a London property workshop. So what we mean by a London property workshop is it's going to include multiple guest speakers. I'm going to be speaking at 2 of the sessions, but we've got 7 speakers in total who are going to be discussing not only about what has happened in recent times and what is projected to happen in the London property market over the next few years, but also learning about the rental market there, the tax situation in the UK, whether to buy in your personal name or through a company name, comparing actually, if you're looking at an investment property, where would be more prudent to put your hard-earned dollars, an investment property in Singapore or an investment property in the UK. And what I mean by an investment property is not a place necessarily where you're living in, but a property that you've invested in to rent out, where you're not intending to live in the future, but it's purely there to maximize your growth and the growth of your wealth.
Yeah, and Richard, you know, it's really such an opportunity for Singaporeans, I would say. You know, number one, you know that the prices in Singapore is increasing fast, especially so in the pandemic, which is surprising. But it has really gone up. You know, with different kinds of properties, and also with the fact that this is a small island, land and supply is very limited. Prices only go up because of the limited supply of land. But not only that, Richard, it is also due to the cost of production, cost of putting up the construction, right? Manpower, labor cost, material cost, cost of cement that you're importing from Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, the logistical cost involved. It is always increasing, and also plus inflation, right? So with all these factors, right, it seems that Singapore, I would say that the returns on investment in Singapore, it's getting less attractive if you were to forecast it into the future. So therefore, it does make a comparison logical if you put the same money, about $500,000 Singapore dollars, 200,000 Singapore dollars, if you have that ready in cash, to to invest in another platform, UK. Now we're talking about UK here, to have a higher level of return. Am I right, Richard?
Well, generally so. When we're talking about residential property, there are a variety of different factors, but when we look at an entry-level property in Singapore, and let's just take about $1 million Singapore dollars, believe it or not, that's an entry level for this part of the world. If you're looking at an investment property, so not your primary residence, that let's say is a second property, the things like the stamp duty tax that you will need to pay is close to 15% on $1 million. So that's 150,000 in taxes straight away. The other thing is that the loan to value that you're allowed to take from banks here in Singapore is only 45%, which means you're putting down a 55% deposit. So that's another $550,000
Wow.
On top of your tax is 700,000 Singapore dollars on $1 million property. Well, for the same amount of money, you could actually buy 6 or 7 entry-level condos in the UK, potentially with much higher rental yields of 5, 6, 7%,
Yes.
compared with here in Singapore, a residential property may be getting you 1 or 2%.
Wow.
So, yeah, at the end of the day, watch this space, because one of the sessions I'll be doing this Sunday at 2 o'clock at the Four Seasons Hotel will be making this comparison and contrasting. And what I've often found is that certain people say, well, look, I only really want to invest in where I know. And I understand from human nature that gives us comfort that, well, I know Singapore, I can go down the road, I can have a look, I understand Singapore, this is where I live. But my challenge is that just because you know Singapore, does that make it the best place to put your hard-earned dollar? Or if you were familiar with other opportunities, so that you can make a well-informed decision of whether should I put it into Singapore, or are there some opportunities that could actually give me much better returns?
Yeah, and you're talking about that intangible element called trust. Because when you are talking about, okay, the property in Singapore, you can go and visit, you know the road, you know the street, as opposed to if you were to put the same amount of money into another property, but you do not know that property, the way to circumvent that trust and that level of certainty and familiarity is an intermediary that you can trust. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's why you say that your value of One Global is very important. The personality and the person of One Global is very important. The person that we interact with is you, Richard, and then your other speakers. That would give the assurance to whomever watching. And definitely, I'm not here because I'm not sponsoring your event, nor am I sponsored by you, or is this an advertisement? But this is what I'm saying. We need to have an element of trust when we interact with a company, because this trust is almost like a bank, right? Because you're talking about, okay, BNP, Citibank, Standard Chartered, that brand is the level of non-verbal, unconscious, or sub-level conscious trust that you have, which is you are trying to now educate and tell the people at large, your clients at large, like, okay, One Global is the trustworthy intermediary because it has all these characteristics and because it has all these professional people who are going to look after your money and your investment. Am I right, Richard?
I couldn't agree more. Trust is obviously fundamental to any relationship. And when it comes to investing your hard-earned cash, building that trust with both an individual and a company promise is absolutely key to that. And so this is why we do lots of educational events. We're happy that we're going to be doing our first live event because, as that saying goes, you can't fax a handshake. And by being able to meet up with people live, we can look each other in the eye and get a sense of, do I feel comfortable?
Definitely.
Putting my hard-earned cash and believing in yourself and your company's ability to help me grow my wealth, so that I can sleep at night and know that I've got an investment that over the medium to long term is going to grow in value. So, building trust through meeting people, through educational events, building credibility, and of course, a track record helps provide that additional confidence as well.
Yeah, and you talked about track record, Richard. That is something that intrigues me. Tell us some of your past successful projects that you've launched at One Global.
Well, we've launched many projects. Historically, we started in London, and we have connections with top tier developers across London. As we've grown as a company, we've divested also into other cities like Birmingham, Manchester, commuter belt towns like Ashford, And, we've really helped to build client growth through well-researched investment opportunities. This year alone, we've seen an incredible growth in the UK property market. It's estimated that on average, property has grown by 13.2%. Now, just prior to the pandemic breaking out, or during the breakout, analysts were initially thinking that the real estate market was going to actually decline by 5 to 7%, but we've seen some of the best growth in over 20 years. So it's been absolutely phenomenal time, and certainly the fundamentals of the UK property market are very sound. And even the next 5-year predictions is that there's going to be an average growth of approximately 21.5% across the UK.
Wow.
Some regions up in the northwest, such as the Manchester, Liverpool area, up as high as 28.5% capital growth. So, it's a good, steady market, good rule of law, with very strong fundamentals in terms of lack of supply, good population growth, good rule of law. And so, we've seen just very steady, good quality growth, and that looks like it's going to continue for many years to come.
Yeah, and I think a very, very important question, Richard. How is the probability of me running into one of the football players if I go to Leeds, if I go to Liverpool or Manchester, or can I run into Ronaldo? I think he's with Manchester,
you probably
right?
could, actually, Vicky. We have a project which is a beautiful project, and it's actually called Number One Old Trafford. Wow. And it literally is about 600 meters from the Manchester United football ground. So on one side, it overlooks the football ground. On the other side, it overlooks Salford Quays and the walkways in Manchester. It's literally just
that's completed. A bonus, right?
Yeah. So, for any football fanatics, it's amazing. You could literally have your bedroom overlooking the Manchester United Stadium. And who knows, if it's a high enough floor, you might even get a free view.
Point, right? Isn't that your unique selling point?
Well, it certainly is for any Manchester United fan. I'm not sure if you're a Liverpool fan, you might want to buy there, but
but they will be buying the Liverpool property that you have, and also I'm very excited, that you mentioned something that really blew my mind. Like, you said that with $1 million Singapore dollars, we can only buy an entry level private condo in Singapore, but you can buy up to like 7 different apartments in the UK, which kind of even blows my mind, because when you have 7 different properties spread across different places, in fact, you're not putting all eggs in a basket, Richard. I mean, that's a huge drawing point, Richard.
Well, the reason being is that the loan to value here in Singapore, your second property is a loan to value at 45%. Your third one is at 35%. So your leverage is even less. But in the UK, there's no restriction like this. So, it's normal that you could get a 60 to 70% loan to value. At a push, you might even get up to 75% loan to value. So the amount of cash you're putting down as a deposit is much smaller as a percentage of the purchase price. Plus the entry level, if I convert to Sing dollars, is about an entry-level condo apartment in the UK outside of London, in places like Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, Ashford, could be in Sing dollars, 270,000 Singapore dollars. So when you can get, let's say, a 70% loan to value, and you're putting a 30% deposit down, this is why for the same amount of money, you could actually buy 6 or 7 properties yielding 5, 6, 7%. And because we can get interest-only mortgages, it means that we're servicing less each month on that mortgage, which means our positive cash flow is significantly higher. So every month we're producing positive cash flow, and over the medium to long term, experiencing great capital growth.
And because you say that the amount of money equivalent, I can actually purchase up to an X number of property across in some of these places that you say. It means that I can eventually stay in one of them, right? And then the rest of them, I can let you manage, right, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, it's a retirement plan right there.
Yes, the thing is that has to be my plan. I mean, I need to discuss with my husband right away after this podcast. I'm going to tell him, hey, let's buy up 5 different properties. I'll tell him, hey, isn't one of your one of your favorite football groups is in where and where and where we will put a tick and tick and tick.
Very much so, yeah. But what you said before as well about not having all your eggs in one basket, a basic part of reducing risk in real estate is diversification. And by having properties in 6 or 7 different locations, even if there was a void period in one of the properties, that's not going to break the bank, so to speak. But if you had all of your eggs in one single property here in Singapore and the economy isn't so strong, expats leaving maybe, and you've got an apartment that's sitting empty for 3 or 4 months, that could be a significant amount of money that you're having to service every single month because you're servicing both the interest and the principal.
Okay, now that as we are speaking, Richard, you've got some fans coming in. I think his name is Adrian Lim Chi Wei.
Hi, yes. Adrian. Yeah, he's one of my colleagues.
Hi, Adrian. I see his picture there. Adrian, thanks for coming in. And you're right, Adrian. Diversification of risk. He's actually echoing what I just said. That's the power of the community, Adrian. Thanks, Adrian, for sticking with us. Richard, we also talked about the personality of One Global. Tell us about who are the founders or who are the owners right now for One Global.
Well, James Puddle is both the founder and the CEO. He's originally from the UK. He founded the company about 4.5, 5 years ago now.
Wow.
He was coming over because he worked with developers in the UK and was flying on a regular basis over to Asia to bring these developments to the Asian market.
Wow.
Built up relationships in this part of the world. He's married to a lady that is, I believe, half Singaporean as well. So, there's some strong connections here. I just felt that through his connections with top-tier developers in the UK, by setting up his own investment and real estate agency in this part of the world, had a competitive edge by bringing, the very best developments to Asian investors.
Yeah. And, Richard, we do, and to let the international audience know, and please, this is in Singapore, right? And we are in the internet world that is being broadcasted and pushed firstly to Singapore. However, this show right now live is international wherever you are. If you are coming in from Europe, coming in from Australia, the US, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, we'd like to say hi to you from myself and Richard. Richard, it's very exciting for us as we are trying to, we are straining our necks to come to the end of the pandemic. We're really looking forward to having such a new life again, to redesign your life, to relook at some of your life's priorities. I would think that people are, people are grateful. Myself, firstly, I am grateful that we have lived through one of the most tremendous times in humankind. I was talking to my dear friend, Edward. Edward's a dear friend of mine in Bordeaux because he was trying to help me build my business in Bordeaux. It was so hard for many, many people. But if this pandemic goes away, which is now in Europe, you're seeing the numbers going down, the rates are going down, people are living like normal already. It will come. Richard, it will come. I hope that 2022 really heralds a new a life for us, a kind of new reflection that we evaluate our lives and our priorities. And definitely wealth management is something that we have to really look into because it really talks about it's almost like buying insurance, right? You're taking care of your money. You're taking care about building your wealth for your family, Richard. investing in properties, in real estate?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think, as you say, our generation, it's the first time we've really gone through some major challenges through this COVID pandemic. But as I think I mentioned in our first episode, when there's adversity, when there is change, there is also opportunity. I think if we, look and learn from our experiences, the world has changed forever through this pandemic, and the way that we live and the way that we do business. When we look at real estate, people have completely reconsidered what do they need from a home, because it may be that they're going to be working full-time or at least a significant amount of time from their home, which means they may need an extra room for a home office. They may need extra space, whether it be a balcony, so they've got some fresh air and feel like they're not cooped up in a prison cell, or access to public parkland. We've seen that there's been a major shift in how people priorities want to live.
Quality of life. People are really looking into the quality of life. They're reprioritizing about where they're putting their money, and also where they live. I think this is such a time, Richard, that you're coming to us and your event on Saturday and Sunday, right?
Saturday, this Sunday, on November the 6th and 7th, so just tomorrow and Sunday.
Which is at the Four Seasons Hotel, one of the top hotel, 5-star hotel in Singapore. It's going to be free, right, Richard?
Yes, but you do need to register in advance so we can comply with COVID restrictions. So, please don't hesitate to email me. My email address is Richard Lowe, Lowe is spelled Lowe, as in the Western way, at ogpsglobal.com. So that's Richard Lowe at ogpsglobal.com. Do email me. Seats are limited because of COVID restrictions, but we'd be delighted to see you. We've got a packed program of 7 different speakers covering multiple topics on the London and UK property
Do you want to mention some of these names, the outstanding names that you are inviting to be your speaker?
Yes, so we've got Chris Frame from Get Ground. He's going to be speaking about a revolutionary company that is a digital platform that is allowing people to invest via a company structure. And there are a variety of many benefits of investing via a company structure as opposed to your personal name. And they can do this at 1/10 of the cost. They can set up a company within literally less than a day. They help set up a bank account, do all your tax returns. It's all platform digitally based. So that he's one of the speakers that's going to be speaking. We've got Colin Walpole from Life Residential. He's based here in Singapore. He's going to be speaking about the update of the rental market in London. I'm going to be doing two sessions myself. One is giving an overview to the London property market. I'll be giving some context of what's happened in the past, where we are now, and what we predict as the London market moving forwards. And I'm going to be doing one on Sunday, as I mentioned, at 2 p.m., which is going to be comparing investing in a Singapore property compared with a UK property. And it might be a little bit of a shake-up for some, but again, come along, you'll find out a great deal and learn from a lot of other speakers as well. We've got Sam Lee from Capricorn Finance. He's going to be going through the different sort of mortgage options. As I mentioned, interest-only mortgage is something that is available in the UK, which is not available here in Singapore. And most investors, if they have the option of an interest-only mortgage, will take it because they're servicing a smaller amount each month. And ultimately, they're not looking to live in that property, so they don't feel the need to pay down the mortgage over time, because at some stage in the future, they're going to sell it, take the capital uplift, and maybe redeploy their capital into another investment.
Yeah, and that's Richard Lowe, and the email is Richard, RICHARDLOWE at ogps.com.
OGPS Global.
Global.
.com.
Okay, OGPS, which stands for One Global Property Services, OGPSglobal.com. I mean, it's quite easy, right?
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Richard Lowe for you. And what a wonderful time that we're able to connect. And it gives me such an exhilaration to be able to like pin our hopes on the future once again. Always looking forward. I mean, we need to move forward, Richard. In the last 22 months, we're stuck in time. We are stuck in space in our home. Sure. Stuck in time and stuck in space. And when the world has stopped on its axis, now we are moving forward again. I'm so glad to have you, Richard. Is there anything you would like to wrap up with for the next 15 seconds before we say goodbye?
Well, again, thanks for having me on the show, Vicky. I think that there is now light at the end of the tunnel here in Singapore. We are starting to have the opportunity to travel. And I see that as time goes by, there'll be more and more countries that we can travel to. It's been a challenging time, but as we say, there's light there, and we're all looking forward to being able to go see our family and friends in other parts of the world. And who knows, from a real estate point of view, maybe go visit some properties you've already invested in, or maybe look at some new properties as well. But I want to
visit Richard. Visit Richard. They can. The thing is that because Richard, you're not only opening your services to Singaporeans, definitely, because we are now in a borderless virtual metaverse world right now. Anybody who would like to reach out to you beyond the shores of Singapore, they can really just come and write to you, right? They could be from Malaysia, from Indonesia, from Hong Kong. I mean, any part of the world. If they take a liking to your past 2 episodes, ladies, please visit the past 2 episodes by Richard. And we are bringing to you from GDM Productions, myself, Vicky Esther, and also Richard. It's been such a wonderful time, the 3 episodes we've got, Richard.
Great. Well, it's been a real pleasure. And I hope we can continue to do more. And at the same time, build relations with the viewers. And I hope that I can see and meet, whether that's physically or through virtual calls. We're not limited by boundaries. And I think one of the things that the pandemic has brought to us, the fact that we've broken down certain boundaries and there are no longer physical boundaries. We can meet each other and build a relationship, whether it's face-to-face or through virtual experience.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, when you buy a property there in London, you're investing, definitely there'll be different ways that Richard will be talking in the seminar, in the workshop, how you do not have to fly there to sign the papers, am I right?
Everything can be done remotely these days. That's including investing in a property as well. So if you wish to go there, that's absolutely fine, but it's certainly not a necessity. I'm looking forward to having our next season with you, Richard. I will be on my live radio and my podcast audio. Probably I will invite you to my audio podcast and my live radio that is also streaming live to the rest of the world. So ladies and gentlemen, and that's Richard Lowe. Richard Christopher Lowe, formerly from Oxford, UK, which I'm so, how should I say? I have such a connection with UK, even though, I'm just a tourist, but my Cambridge exams from UK, right? And my Shakespeare papers from Stratford, and also, my niece herself, she's won the URA scholarship to study in UK University of London. Wow.
On urbanization. Great. And for 3 years, and then she was seconded to study at Yale University for a master's course, and she's now working with the Singapore government. We have Singapore, Singaporeans are all over the world. People do invest overseas. It's just that I think there isn't enough of awareness for the people. I think for someone like One Global, definitely I see yourself being very well versed in all the various aspects that we've discussed about in our 3 episodes. That's from me to the rest of the viewers and the listeners. Richard has been very, very professional, and every question he's answered professionally in every way. He has passed the litmus test. Let's give Richard a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Vicky. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, so I'll talk to you, Richard, ladies and gentlemen, and that's Wine Global in the hotel Four Seasons this weekend, and you can write to him to register the entrance. Right, bye, Richard. I'll talk to you again.
Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.